Welcome to HR Are You Listening? This is your host, Marta Fernandez, your HR journalist. And we have today an amazing guest. Her name is Ashley Cox. How are you, Ashley?
Hey, Marta. I am well. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And how are you today?
I'm good. I can't complain. It's a beautiful Monday, rainy but beautiful. How's your day so far?
Oh my goodness. It is beautiful outside here. We had the rain yesterday, so I feel your pain there, but it has moved through. So blue skies are heading your way, my friend.
I hope so because it feels the summer. So I'm not sure if I should wear my jacket out or my tank top, but it's a thing. It's a thing.
It definitely is.
So I brought you here, Ashley, because I thought you're a human that people need to meet. You're a beautiful human being. I just recently met you and I was very blessed because I think you are such a empowered woman who has a lot to say and help other people. So, Ashley, I would love you to introduce yourself today.
Thank you so much, Marta, for having me here. I'm very excited for our conversation. I am a leadership mentor for ambitious women who have a team but no time. And I love helping women find the courage and the confidence to lead those high performance teams that they can trust and rely on without constantly chasing people to get things done. I've been in HR and leadership for almost 20 years now, so I've got a really long history of work experience, and I'm excited to share some of that with you today and hopefully inspire you or encourage you to just step into your leadership power and be the leader you were always meant to be.
I would love for my audience to get to know you and be ready to have an amazing time, guys. And with no further ado, Ashley, what's the story today?
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It was so wonderful meeting you recently because I really think that we connected over our backgrounds in HR and just the humanity side, right? That's the thing for me. I've been in HR and leadership for almost 20 years now, which still sounds like wild to say out loud that it's been that long. And I've seen a lot over those times. Some things that would make your hair stand straight up on top of your head. I've experienced a lot. I've grown a lot as a human and as a leader myself. And I use all of that in my business today as a leadership mentor for ambitious women who have a team, but they have no time. And they're trying to navigate being a leader and understanding, how do I lead in a way that feels authentic, that feels compassionate, but that I also am able to get results. And so I think the story today is one that I am just learning to lean into a lot more recently about growing up being told you talk too much. And especially as a woman, especially as a young girl, I feel like a lot of women can relate to that. I don't know if you've had that similar story in your life, Marta.
Actually, I have. I'm very talkative and opinionated. And sometimes, yeah, that is storyline where they say you talk too much. It's kind of makes me feel shy or embarrassed or very self-aware how I felt.
Yes. And I feel like that was something I really had to battle with as a young leader. I led my first team when I was 22 years old. I had just graduated college. I was a co-leader in a grocery store, and we had over 350 employees. And that was a lot of people to never have managed people before. And so, being told, it's an insane amount of people, right? You don't think that many people run a grocery store, but it takes a lot of people power to get groceries on the shelves and out the doors.
Wow. Can I just go back? So you graduated and you immediately got to this like managerial role and you had to manage that amount of people. How do you felt? I'm just shocked because I've always 22. I barely knew how to handle myself. How you felt?
When you consider that your frontal lobe isn't even fully developed until you're 25, you really can't do a lot. Or at least not a lot very well at that point. But I had worked in the grocery industry for about 3.5 years to that point. So I wasn't brand new to the industry. I had worked in all of the hourly positions, and I had been in positions where I took the lead on things, but I never managed other people. And so stepping into that role, I was coming fresh out of college thinking, oh, I've got all of these management theories. That's what my degree is in. I've got this. And then 350 people happened, and I was like, I ain't got this. That was a lot.
Yes, they lied to me in school.
Exactly. I was like, listen, these management theories, they sound good on paper, but people be peopleing out here and they don't do what these little theories say they're going to do. So it was a very shocking kind of experience to step into that role. And then add on top of that, this story I had carried with me my whole life and all through school. You talk too much, you talk too much, you talk too much. And I didn't know how to use my voice to lead. And so it held me back in the beginning of my leadership journey.
Wow, that's interesting, and that is very powerful, the fact that you say you talk too much, but you didn't have the skills to actually lead or have the communication skills to actually lead. That's interesting. I never thought about that. That's interesting. That's something to sink in because I feel like people who are very talkative, we don't know like how much people listen to us,
Mhm.
right? It's like, oh yeah, you talk, but nobody's really paying attention to you until you get that spotlight, like you just said. It takes one moment where, oh my God, they're actually listening to me, but I'm not saying anything to actually lead people. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting.
Just because you talk a lot does not mean that you know how to use language in an effective way.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I like that thought that you just share.
Mhm.
So what happened?
Yeah, a lot of hard lessons. A lot of hard lessons happened. A lot of mentoring, a lot of guidance from other leaders. The thing that really I think was profound for me in my journey is that when I first started off, the management that was above me um, was very much shutting down my natural skills. So, wanting to be compassionate, being empathetic toward people, wanting to nurture and help and support people versus just demand things of them or tell them what to do and expect it to just get done, regardless of what reasons they might have that it doesn't get done. And so it was really hard to navigate because here I am trying to find my voice and still feeling hampered by the leadership that was over me because I wasn't being nurtured in a way or guided in a way that felt authentic and genuine to me as a human being. And it wasn't until I met my first HR manager. No, she was my second HR manager, but it was the first female HR manager that I had who really showed me you can be both compassionate and firm. You can ask for what you need and understand that sometimes people have reasons why things can't get done in the way that you want them to or the way that you need them to or the time frame that you thought you wanted to get this project done. And so she really showed me the harmony that can exist between our humanity and running an effective business operation.
So you said she was your first female. So can I just go back and a little bit more about your first experience with your male manager in HR? Like, can you like just a quick overall because you said this female leader help you, mentor you, and mold you to be like, hey, like you could be yourself, Ashley. You could be a successful leader without tweaking your personality, trying to pretend something that you're not. And so I wonder what was your first experience because it feels like there's a before and after when you met like your first manager with your second
Mhm.
manager. And I would imagine also came with a lot of healing too.
Mhm. Oh, for sure. So there were actually many managers in between these two people. My first manager was when I was in store management, and
Oh.
that was an incredibly toxic experience. There was a lot of sexism, a lot of misogyny, a lot of discrimination based on being a young female in a leadership position. Like I said, I was 22 at the time. I just graduated college. And I clearly remember, you're going to love this story because this is one that really shaped who I am and what I decided I wasn't going to be as a leader. And it was a day that I was walking by one of our conference rooms because we had a few conference rooms in the grocery store. And he hollered out the door. There were 8 white men sitting in there, and they were all like department heads or different people from the store. And they were sitting in there just having an afternoon coffee and shooting the breeze and having a good time. And I walked by, and my maiden name is Mackie. So he said, Mackie, go get us some more coffee. And I'm sorry, I'm out here like running the whole store while you're having your little good old boys coffee club meeting, and you want me to go get more coffee? And so I turned right around to him and I said, I will not be fetching your coffee today. And I just went on my way. And then eventually he took all of my management responsibilities from me. He took my keys, he took my authority, and he had me dusting grocery shelves in a multi-billion-dollar grocery store. It was unreal. I was like, I guess still so naive that I thought this still happened today, and this has now been 20 years ago, that I was just like, did he just say that? Did this just happen? Are we not past this yet? And it definitely was a turning point moment for me.
Wow. You know what's funny? Because you say 20 years ago, and 20 years ago, it's like nothing.
Yeah.
In relativism, right? It's nothing.
Yeah.
When people think about like corporate, they think about top management and that's what you see. But there's a lot of toxicity and there's a lot of chaos when you start going down those middle managerial roles.
Mhm.
I don't want to even apologize because when I say apologize, I feel
Mhm.
like apologize in the aspect of where is HR in this type of corporates and how do you protect young
Mhm.
persons like you? Like, it's not even the fact that you're a female that comes with another level of why, but just as a human being, why would you have a company that is mistreating people and created retaliation?
Mhm.
Right? Like the fact that he decided to use his power to prove a point or show, hey, I have the power. You make fun of me or you answer me in front of my people. And
Mhm.
now my ego needs to be fed because
Mhm.
whatever. And so my head is more like, I want to say sorry, but at the same time, I'm pissed because, and I know HR peers, they did the best what they could at some point in time, like back in the day. HR, what it was once then is not what is now.
Mhm.
And people need to understand that. But at that point in time, HR should have stepped up.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure you are not the only one
Mm.
that went through that. I'm pretty sure that a lot of your peers went through. And this is where I feel like HR has failed
Mhm.
employees. And you are such a strong woman, an empowered woman that you saw and you came across the BS on your own.
Mhm.
You stand your ground. And that takes a lot of courage. And I applaud you for that because not everybody has the courage to say, not today. I'm
Yeah.
not going to do it today. And so you were 22, but you were so brave. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people at that moment in time, they were impressed and admired you. And also maybe you inspired them to, I don't need to take this.
Mm.
That push. Because sometimes people are like, this just need to that push, be like, you know what? If Ashley could do that,
Mm.
I could do that too.
Yeah.
And that is very powerful. So even though you were not protected and everything went down the hill after that, just taking that moment to acknowledge that your courage, I'm pretty sure you have a significant impact indirectly to your peers around. And I
Yeah.
think that makes a difference in companies.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you went to the HR? Like, actually, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah, what do you do from there? Yeah, it was a hard situation, and it probably took me another 3 or 4 months before I reached out to our district manager, and I reached out to him and I said, "Hey, listen, I need to have a conversation with you. Can you meet me at the store on this day?" And he was like, "Yep, absolutely. Let me come out." And I was like really encouraged, thinking, "Okay, he cares. He's coming out. He wants to hear what I have to share with him." And I didn't give him any clue as to what it was because I didn't want anybody going and talking to him before I had a chance to share my experience. And so when he
Right.
walked into the office, we sat down and he was like, "Okay, what do you got going on? What do you want to talk about?" And I said, "I need to talk about the manager and what has been happening in the store." And so I started to lay it all down. And he literally stopped me and said, "Whoa, I don't want to hear anything bad about my managers." And I was like, "Well, I think you need to hear this because the situation that's going down right now is not good. And I'm willing to give you my 2 weeks notice today if we can't do something about this because I'm not going to stay here." And he was like, "Let's not be rash. Let's not make rash decisions." I was like, "This is not rash. This has been going on for a year and a half. And especially the last 3 months because I'd been at that store for a year and a half at that point." And so he
Wow.
was like, "Okay, let's just tell me the basics and let's figure out a plan." And I was like, "The basics are I'm being treated like garbage and I have a lot more to offer you if you will transfer me to another store." So I went on vacation the next week. That was already planned. And that's why I planned the conversation when I did. So that way he had time to go back and think about what do I want to do. And he said, "I will let you know on the Saturday, the last day of your vacation, what to do on Sunday, whether you will have a job or where to report." And so, of course, that vacation was anything but relaxing. But when Saturday came, he said, "Okay, report to this store. We're going to give you one more chance." Like I had done something wrong. It was I tell you, it is one of the most profound moments in my career, because that was one of the first times that I really truly had fought for myself using my voice, and I was able to, even if it wasn't the most ideal situation, I was able to get myself out of that toxic work situation into another store where I absolutely thrived. Yeah.
I think the first thing that comes to my mind, this is where I have issues in HR when people fight about how much training and workshops you provide to your leaders and to your managers. I have been in situations before where people are like, well, no, he's a manager. Like he should know what to do. Like I'm hiring him. He has 10 plus years of experience and he doesn't need a managerial training.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that. I'm not going to spend money on that, right? And so my head comes to like toxicity starts always from the top and it's continuously, it's like a waterfall cascade vibes. And so I'm thinking that is crazy that this person first didn't really want to hear what you have to say because he was negative and I guess protect his voice, and B, how he put it in a change the narrative of, hey, let me give you a second chance. I got you.
Yeah.
Like it was because I have the power to choose whether you want to stay or not. And I feel like those are people are more common than not. And still to this day, you will see those people.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll be like, oh no, he's a manager. Like he has 10, 20 plus years of experience. He's a great person. He brings revenues and da da da. But you have other people who don't want to see the truth, and you have a woman or anybody who's willing to stand up, and now you want to change the narrative that you're assisting me. Like, yeah, I'm helping you.
Yeah.
And I have issues with this because HR, there's a lot of people in HR that don't see the importance of continuously building our managers, continue building our CEOs. It doesn't matter what level you are in life, you need continuously learning. There's always nuances to improve in ourselves. I mean, you had a great ending in this particular experience because you were able to move to another place and thrive. And that says a lot. I think that's something that I don't want to take away from the manager. I'm pretty sure this is a good employee. I don't want to make a hasty decision. But at the same time, I don't like when people tell me or tell someone like, hey, I'm doing you a favor. What at any given point, you're making me a favor. You're doing what you're supposed to do, what is correct, which is protect me from a situation that is harmful, not only to my mental health, but also physical and emotional. Like when you say like you're 22 and you go through this, it makes a lot of sense when you get so marked. Like it marks you, change you. And this is where I'm like, boy, we need so much work to do.
Yeah. I often think about the young woman who didn't get that opportunity, the young woman that got pushed out, the young woman who didn't get the support that she desperately needed, who didn't even get to share her voice. I really took some major risks saying and doing the things that I did. And I really think a lot of that courage came from being 22 and not having not knowing any better. And would I go about it differently today? Honestly, I don't think so. I think I probably would be more bold and more brazen because of all of that lived experience between then and now that won't allow people to run me over.
You know what? You know what though? Actually, you said that you didn't know any better. That's not true. You knew your worth.
Yeah. Oh,
You could
that's
you could be
perfect, Marta.
you could have been 22-year old who didn't know much about the work experience and have a very positive mindset and ready to eat the world. Anybody at 22 does that, but you know your worth.
Yeah.
You knew who you were in terms of your worth, in terms of the employee, in terms of I know what I can give to the company and how much I'm willing to commit myself to this. So you knew maybe at that point in time, retrospectively thinking about it, you're not like, I know my worth,
Yeah.
Actually. It was
You're so right. You're so
it
right.
was within you. That was like intrinsically, or I don't know how to, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not finding the right word, but it was within you.
Yeah. Right. I think it was that intrinsic value. And that's something my mom instilled in me, that you are whole and you are worthy and you are perfectly you. And that is all acceptable. And I think that you're so right. You hit the nail on the head. I don't know that I've ever had anyone verbalize it to me that way before. So thank you for giving me new perspective into my own story, seeing and valuing that self-worth, even if I couldn't have named it at the time.
Right. Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
And this is the part what I see about like these beautiful stories. It's like when we revisit this painful moment, sometimes we miss certain things about our own self. We're like, how, oh yeah, I did that. And I just want to point out very quickly, you talk about your mom and your values that she cultivated in you and fostered. I want to take time and say this to people. Values and moral and work ethics make huge difference on how you handle yourself and your career path and how you go through those sticky situations like Ashley went through. You don't have to know it from the top, or you don't have, sometimes we're not even self-aware how those values and morals kick in and help us thrive at work and or help us get out of situations like Ashley did. But boy, those are your lifesavers. Like they help you overcome a lot, even though you don't think about them too much.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting that you bring that up. I wholeheartedly agree, because that experience shaped who I am in the world today. And it shaped my whole HR career, because I was like, never will I be the person who allows this to happen under my watch. At that point, we didn't have district HR coordinators with the company, but eventually they implemented those coordinators who were in charge of anywhere from 12 to 18 stores. And so you had a direct line to HR. And I got to be one of those people in my district for the very first time. And being able to be the voice of the employee and be there to advocate for them, not just be there to be a puppet for the company, but to truly be able to say, no, let's stop. Let's listen. Let's understand what's happening. Let's look at it from all angles and don't make assumptions that the employee is wrong and the manager is right just because they've been here 25 years. Like, that was such a gift to be able to come full circle and be that advocate for the people that worked in the store, because I was like, never will somebody come in and tell me this employee XYZ and I'm just going to wholeheartedly believe it. And that's a gift I now get to do in the work that I do with my clients. I work with women who are leading teams, and we always start with defining their leadership values. Who are you? Who do you want to be in this world? What do we create as a foundation to do all the rest of our work with? Because you can't have effective conversations with employees until we know where you're starting from a values perspective. We can't ask for the help that we need unless we know where we're starting from a values perspective. We can't make business decisions unless we know where we're starting from a values perspective. So it has literally shaped my entire career.
I'm very surprised. I didn't expect this, especially now, like you said about the HR coordinator, because that is like a wholesome circumstances, like a 360. You saw and you experienced the worst of the company, and also you were able to be part of the change for the company, culturally speaking, not only like systematically. Yeah, like they created a HR coordinator. Systematically, the company is changing, is becoming more institutionalized, but in the cultural perspective, I did not see this. I think that's a curveball for me, because I'm like, wow, like you experienced something, but at the same time, you were blessed enough to, or lucky, or whatever you want to do, the word you want to use, but to have the opportunity to also change that place that hurt you at some point in time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah, I got to change it from the inside out. I didn't come
Yeah.
in as a consultant later on. I didn't come in as somebody who'd never experienced what it was like to literally be an hourly employee and then a manager and then a human resources person. I literally had an entire career journey within this one company, and it allowed me to find my voice in order to help other people find their voice.
Yeah. I want to say this because you're an HR person. I want to put light to this story. You are an HR person, but you went through, as any other person, through a career process. You set an hourly wage, you build yourself up, you work very hard to get those spots, right? Or those opportunities to even manage 300 employees at such a young age, which is a big thing. And so when people think about HR, people don't think about our stories and how we were affected or molded. And you made a beautiful storyline for me to just to share my audience that we HR people go through a lot too. And we are where we are, not because we only went to school and we educate ourselves, but because also we had experiences. We went through our hardships. We went through our managers or toxic work culture environments. We went through, like, we had to fight for that $1 because that $1 make a difference. We struggle a lot.
Mhm.
And so humbly, I want to say that as Ashley is here and she has gone through a lot of her hardships to be where she at, and she deserves that. And she is a human and she is a good HR professional, but also because she acknowledges that she went through a lot and we should not take that away. Her hardships, that manager that basically treated her like a second class, like that was the thing, you know what I mean? Or dismiss her because she's a woman, or retaliate because he thought she wouldn't have a voice. And she said earlier today, what about those girls, young professionals, young employees who don't have a voice, who are not courage? Those employees who don't have strong values or morals that help them push through this. So just I want to make knowledge of that and emphasize that, like, we also go through a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, any employee in any company has the chance that they might end up in a similar type of situation, but they also have the opportunity to stand in those values and say, this is what I'm going to accept and this is what I'm not going to tolerate. And there are times where maybe socioeconomic status might hold you back from quitting. And I also want to just validate that if you are in a toxic situation and you can't quit right now, I understand. And this isn't to say everybody should just threaten to quit their job when they have a terrible situation, because I understand realistically that isn't everyone's story. Everyone doesn't have that incredible privilege and opportunity. But what you can do is start looking for a job now to set yourself up for success for an exit. And you have that full power, because don't you ever let anyone take your power and take your voice from you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so beautiful. You know what's so funny? Oh, this is so funny. Because I quit at the beginning of the year a job that I had,
Mhm.
and it was 4 months. I start seeing the red flags about
Mhm.
toxic work
Mhm.
environment.
Mhm.
And it's so funny that you just said there's gonna be times that you're not gonna be able to quit a toxic place because that's your livelihood and you have to take care, and it's okay. And I commend or I respect the people who stay in these places because they have no choice and they work so hard. But I also love that fact that you said what you can do is find another job.
Mhm.
What you can do is look exit ways rather than just stay in this situation. Because I think it's kind of like the fight or freeze, like the what's
Fight or flight or freeze. Mhm.
yeah. So like now that you're making me think about this,
Mhm.
sometimes people who are in toxic work environments,
Mhm.
they freeze.
Yeah.
They continue working because they need the money, but they don't do anything towards looking for that exit path that you just said. And so, while because that's my story, and it was hard. It was
Mhm.
so hard for me to say, "Hey, Martha, you want to quit?" But I was privileged because I did have my husband's support, my family
Mhm.
support. Like, stay strong.
Yeah.
We will support you, and I know that from that end, I'm very privileged,
Mhm.
and I'm very grateful for them.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to say that, because I know not everybody can just come in and say, listen, this is my 2 weeks. But I do think that the more we allow people to steal our power, the more disempowered we feel and the more disempowered we act.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That
eventually we become victims of our own circumstance because we do freeze and we're like, oh, I can't do anything. But you can always do something. You can always do something. Get a friend to help you rewrite your resume. Ask for people who might be looking for jobs. Hey, do you know anybody who's hiring? This is what I'm good at, but I'm trying to keep this quiet because I don't want my current employer to find out. That's not being sketchy. That's not being sneaky or anything like that. That is self-preservation. That is you looking out for you because you deserve better. And just like you said earlier, Marta, knowing your self-worth and being able to speak power to that.
now that I think about it, how do you handle the conversation? I just want to go back very quickly because I was thinking, how do you handle the conversation with the regional manager? Do you prepare yourself? How do you had that conversation?
Mhm.
Now we were talking about like you're not necessarily quitting
Mhm.
because your aim was not to quit your job. Your aim was to change another place, which gratefully your corporate had multiple solutions for that,
Mhm.
right? Like transfer you to another supermarket. But I'm just wondering right now,
Mhm.
how do you have that conversation?
Yeah.
How do you actually prepare yourself?
Yeah.
to have that? That's a hard
That's
conversation,
a
though.
great question. It was an incredibly hard conversation, and it was the first of that kind that I'd ever had. And so for me, what was really natural just to get my thoughts together was to sit down and write down what had happened. And I really tried to focus on what are the facts, not how this made me feel or go into an emotional down spiral, right? Because I knew that would not get my district manager's attention or his support. I knew that based on my understanding of him and the way he operated, he needed bullet points, he needed facts, and he needed to know what I wanted as a resolution. And so I stuck to that. And that was really important for me being able to make my case. Now, he still didn't want to hear the facts. That I can't control. But what I can control is this happened on this day, this happened on this day, this happened on this day. There's a pattern of behavior here, and I'm not okay with it. Here's what I would like to see happen. And so by being prepared and having the facts and asking for what I wanted or needed from him made that conversation not so much about, oh, Ashley's hysterical or she's so emotional, or I didn't need any more ammunition aimed at me. So I was like, how do I make this just about this situation and ask for what I want? And that's continued to be the advice that I give is we got to separate the person from the circumstances, from the facts of the situation when we're looking at it, especially from our own point of view, because it's about us. So it's hard to see the forest for the trees, right? You're just like,
Yeah.
all in my face
Yeah.
right now. And so I always tell people, if you want to have a hard conversation, if you want to negotiate a salary increase, if you want to go for that position, you think you deserve it, what are the facts? Lay it out. What have you done? What have you contributed? How have you shown up? What's been working against you? What do you want?
Is Ashley 22 new this? I mean, you're talking a very
The way I'm talking is very advanced now. What I did then
Yeah.
I just knew how my manager communicated and how I needed to get that information. I was like, I need bullet points, I need facts, and I need to ask for what I want. Over the years, I've evolved that into this is a more complex story.
Okay.
But like I knew
Yeah.
those 3 things for sure at 22.
So now my brain goes because that's very thought out.
Mhm.
And for example, I struggle with sometimes not necessarily negotiating certain things. Like, in HR, you need to learn how to give and take and work your grounds into like, what is the best course of action? And sometimes the best course of action necessarily means like, it benefits you or it's in your best interest. But the reason I was thinking about this is because part of your storyline is taking courage and speaking up. But the way you speak up plays a big factor. And so plays a big factor in the aspect of the results that we want to gain. So one thing is, do you want to just complain? Or do you, what is the point of this complaint?
What's the outcome? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I probably had one thing that came from that manager who was very toxic. I think we can always learn things from people, even when they are toxic. But he had taught me how to communicate with the district manager in a way that he would hear me just for regular day-to-day business things. So I had that coming into that conversation. So I wasn't flying blind. I also had been taught how to use those communication skills with like customers who are upset. If a customer's upset, here's what you want to say or do. Here's what you want to listen for. Here's what you want to ask about. Like, what is your ideal outcome? Not just throw a gift card at them or tell them like, here's $50 free in groceries or whatever. It's what would help you what would make this situation better for you? And so a lot of that was learned through my time there and also the other like department managers in the store. I learned so much from them and just the way that they treated their people and talked to other employees in the store and things like that. So there was definitely some like skills coming into that had been building, but it was those 3 keys that I knew I needed to communicate it in this way so he could hear me.
Wow. I just want to say very quickly before my brain goes to another thought, but transferable skills. People talk a lot about changing career path or I want to do this, I want to do that, but I don't have the skill sets. But Ashley is a great example of how learning skills from one job role can transfer to another and save you. And I am very impressed. You don't understand how impressed I am with you saying that you're 22 years old and having this very grounded, mature, and hard conversation with your regional manager. Because I'm thinking when I was 22, I was thinking about I don't know, coconut trees. I don't know. Like my thought, my mine is like, oh, wow, Ashley was so mature, and I'm
Oh, I
here
definitely had
taking
all my faults and flaws too.
no, but I'm just saying, like, I'm very honored to know you because
Thank you.
I genuinely am just not lying. Like, I'm thinking, I was 22 years old and I was thinking about coconut trees. Where's gonna be my next vacation?
Mhm.
And Ashley here's having very meticulous conversations about her outcome. And I'm not saying my way of being is not right. I'm
Mhm.
just saying, like, it is impressive to see someone who has given a lot of opportunities and learns to grow in the company. You just said it was not only your toxic manager, but you learned from other people
Mhm.
and you took that and you help yourself by learning
Mhm.
and being open. And so as I'm impressed.
Let me
Just
let
impressed.
me knock myself off my little pedestal here for just a minute for you, Marta, because I also, in that same year, straight out was screaming in a screaming match with a customer on the front end of the store. So I did not have my life together, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Right,
let
like,
me
pulls it back a little bit into reality because, like, this woman had dropped off her kid to work this job, and we could hire 14 and 15-year-olds in the state of Virginia. And so they were basically using us as their babysitting service. They just dropped the kid off whenever they wanted and picked the kid up whenever they wanted, and they didn't care about the schedule. And I was just at my wits' end that day, and everything had gone wrong. And so this parent brings this kid in, and or no, they were picking them up early, like 2 hours early from their shift. And I was like, "I don't have enough coverage, and we're not a babysitting service." And that was very much the wrong thing to say.
oh, that's funny. Okay. I will say in your defense, I need to defend you on this one because I have to say customer service is the hardest job that
So
you could
hard.
have.
It's so hard.
I just admire let me take a step back. I just admired those skills that you
Mm,
had honed at
mhm.
such a young.
Yeah.
And I admire the fact that you are sharing this because no matter what age you are,
Yeah.
I'm very young, I'm only 35, and still yet I have to learn certain things. And
Mhm.
what you just said says a lot. Like my admiration to you is because you learn certain things that sometimes it takes way more.
Mhm.
Like you maybe might learn that until your 40s. I don't know if that makes sense. It's so my admiration
Mhm.
comes down to like you got it very quickly and you understood how to work in the work environment and
Mhm.
thrive in that work
Mhm.
environment, regardless how toxic it is.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It's all of those hard conversations that early on really set me up to be the person who loves helping leaders have those hard conversations today with their teams. I think that one of the things my clients consistently say over and over is, I love the way that you say this. It feels in integrity with me. It respects and maintains the dignity of the person that we're talking to. And I'm like, yeah, like hard conversations don't mean they have to be demeaning or cruel or harsh. Like you can have a really hard conversation and it be really compassionate and full of care and concern and still get the point across. And I think that's such a gift that I'm able to give to other women, especially young leaders, new leaders, women who are leading teams for the first time, in being able to have conversations that are meaningful and that are respectful and that are full of dignity. So that way we don't have to be in a situation where we're saying, well, I don't want to hear what you have to say to me. But okay, help me understand what's happening here. Let me listen. And then let's figure out a way forward together.
Yeah, I think our time is a bit out right now, but first and foremost, I just want to say thank you. I do want to summarize things up very quickly, and so you could also give your takeaways for our audience. But summary, guys, at least I've learned the importance of self worth when you're young makes a huge difference, right? I've learned that not knowing necessarily that that's what you're using to overcome challenges, but being able to step up and ask what you need. Ask from your manager what is it that you want to be resolved and how you want it to be resolved, right? And set those boundaries. At least that's what I learned from Ashley, the importance of it. We had an episode about this also about self awareness, and it just happens to go back to that whole learning your self worth. And this is a very unique situation because as an HR person, Ashley also had the opportunity to work and help change that work environment internally, right? She was able to become a HR coordinator in that company. Henceforth, she was able to actually make a difference, which is not always the case. But I want to say that that makes a huge difference. Like sometimes you don't need to be in a leadership role or in a particular role to start changing. It starts with you. You can make the change within a company when you start using your words more intentionally and using those words to help people get empowered and encourage them to not stand for unfairness or mistreatments or any sort of things that are questionable. And so that's my 2 cents. Ashley, I would love you to give us your takeaways, something that you really want people to really know about this episode.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head earlier, Marta, when you said those skills were very transferable. And we can't forget that every single year we live, we're gaining more and more experience every single month, every single day. And so you may not think that you have the skills to do something, but I bet you have a lot more reservoir to tap into than you're giving yourself credit for. And so if you have to come up against a hard conversation, thinking back, what are other situations that are totally different than this, where I've had to use my voice, where I've had to own my power, where I've had to stand up for what was right or what I believed in, and tap into that, because we have this one precious life to live. And we can either let other people dictate how it's going to turn out for us, or we can own our power and take control of that situation and make a difference.
Okay, guys. Well, this is it. Thank you for tuning in. We're very appreciative of you guys listening to us. Thank you, Ashley, for coming over. I appreciate you. You taught me a lot today, actually. I'm very grateful for your time. And guys, go check out Ashley Cox. Her LinkedIn down below so you can check her out. And yeah, so see you in the next episode, guys. Bye, guys.